Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Book Eats. It's been a while. Some of the books I've been reading haven't been talking too much about food, but I did just finish Funny Story, and Miles, he worked in the restaurant business, so he was doing a lot of cooking for Daphne, and one thing that he made that I was like, yes, I need to make this right away, was the Trofie pasta with pesto. Pesto is one of my favorite sauces. Trofie is a little bit tough to make. It just takes a lot of time, but the dough itself, pretty easy. So let's get into it. Okay, my setup for this video is a little different. I'm in a different location. Hopefully the lighting's okay. Let's start making the pasta dough. I have very fine semolina flour here. So I'm going to measure out 200 grams. Okay, and then to it, I'm just gonna add about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And we're gonna mix that together. And this is a no egg pasta. So once that's all incorporated, make sure your countertop is nice and clean. I'm going to place that there. And we're gonna build like a well. So we're kind of creating a border here where our liquid's gonna go. And then I have 100 grams of water. I'm gonna pour that in the middle. All right, and then once the water's in there, we're just gonna start scraping from the sides of our well and slowly incorporating it in the water. Making sure not to break into this wall too much before it's all pretty much incorporated. Use your hands to kind of help you save it from breaking. So yeah, that might happen. Don't worry about it. Once it starts almost forming the dough, then you can start incorporating more flour in from the sides. All right, so we're kind of getting like a little dough. I'm gonna start putting more in there. And now we can kind of get in there with our hands. Take our rings off. Yeah, you can start getting in there with your hands to start forming the dough. And we're doing like a kneading motion just to make sure it gets all incorporated. So the best way to knead is to grab one end, go over the other, flip, turn it, push down, turn it, push down. I might not need the rest of this. I'm gonna see how this is feeling. Yeah, I'm not gonna need the rest of this. And as you can see, as I'm kneading, the dough is starting to incorporate. We wanna make sure that we get a smooth look to it. So it's getting there. We're getting a little bit of a bounce back. I'm gonna let this rest for a second, and then we'll come back and knead some more. All right, so I've let this rest for probably like 3 to 4 minutes, and you can already see how much more, it's just giving back a little more, you know? So we're gonna just knead it just a little bit more. And the resting is pretty important because that's gonna allow that flour to really soak in to that water. All right, so as you can see, it's a lot smoother than it was before. I'm gonna let it rest again for about 3 to 4 minutes. And then we're just gonna knead it again just to make sure it's all nice and smooth. Perfect. Beautiful and smooth. And then once it's all nice and smooth, we're gonna wrap it in some cling wrap. All right, and then once it's all wrapped, just let it hang out on the counter for about 20 minutes. Let's get the sauce going. Okay, so overall I would say pesto is pretty easy to make, especially with the help of a blender. So I have some basil here. I just bought this from Trader Joe's, the big packs that they have. They're about 4 ounces each. If you can't get your hands on this much basil, you can cut this with some arugula. I've done that before. It's tasted just as good. Okay, then for mine, I'm gonna be using some pistachios that I've toasted up slightly. Of course, Parmesan cheese and 2 cloves of garlic. Don't forget the salt, you're gonna need it. And I like to add a little bit of lemon into mine, especially because we're going to be adding a lot of olive oil. This helps cut that fat a little bit, brings that little acidic bite. So I'm just using a half to start out with. And normally I would stream the olive oil in, but as I mentioned, I'm not in my kitchen. I'm using what's in this kitchen, and you can't really stream it in, I don't think. Like, I think this has to be closed for it to turn on. So we're just gonna add some olive oil, and then I'll probably have to add more as I go. Essentially, you just wanna make sure it's like a smooth sauce consistency. Okay, so I think that's a good amount to start off with. Let's see if I can figure this thing out. I guess, I don't know, 2? Okay. Okay, so what I'm realizing is I can stream the olive oil in, so that's what I'm gonna do. And I guess I'll keep it at that same speed. I might have to go on this side. Yeah. Let's go here. Okay, let's see. All right, I like the consistency. That's pretty good. I like this consistency. Let me show you guys a little closer. All right, so as you can see, it's very smooth, no chunks. Smells divine. Okay, but now let me taste it. That's good. Very good. Perfect amount of salt. You get the Parmesan. I probably could have added one more garlic clove, but that's all right. We're gonna roll with it. It's totally all good. So I will say this is a lot more sauce than I'm gonna use today, but this is a good sauce to freeze. So you can freeze it, use it whenever you need it. Just make sure to store it in like an airtight container, whether you're keeping it in the fridge or in the freezer. Okay, so ideally once the pesto's done, you've put it in the fridge, the pasta dough should be ready to start being molded into the pasta shape. So I have it right here. All right, so we're gonna grab it, and it's good. We got a good little bounce back. You wanna keep the plastic wrap kind of on it because we're gonna end up, as we're forming some of the pasta, we're gonna be covering it because we don't want it to dry out. I also have a baking sheet right here that I'm just gonna lightly dredge with some of the semolina just to make sure that our pasta doesn't stick. Okay, that should be good. All right, now the way this is made, you wanna take about a size of like a hazelnut, so a little size, and you're gonna roll it out into a log, and you're almost making like a fusilli. You kind of push down to make little ridges in the dough. So it's like a worm, I guess. Okay, I'll get you guys closer so you could see a little more. Okay, as you can see, I've been going at it for a while. I think I found a pretty good technique on how to do it. All right, we roll it out, and then we take our thumb and almost like push it in and stretch it. And we get those little swirls. Not perfect, but I think by the time I'm done this dough, they will be. If nothing else, you know they're homemade. You know, when you make stuff at home like this, it should be for fun. If you're stressing out over making it perfect, I don't know, maybe don't do it. Because it should be fun. And as you continue to do it, you get better and better. You don't want cooking to be stressful. But I definitely think this thumb technique is the best way to go about it. All right, so I'm almost done. I would say I've gotten the hang of it a little bit, but not 100%. It's just something that takes practice, you know? I will say I think they are getting progressively better, but it is a tough pasta to form. But see, like that one's a good one, I think. All right, we did it. We got the pasta shaped as best as we could. Okay, it's time to cook it up. I have some salted boiling water. We're gonna add the pasta in. You wanna make sure to get in there just to make sure they don't stick. Okay, so the pasta is just about done. I'm gonna grab some of the pesto and we're gonna put it in this pan that I have heating up. just a little bit at first. And then we're just gonna scoop the pasta in there. And it's okay if some of the pasta water goes in here, it'll just help with the sauce. All right, then we're gonna toss it around. Oh my gosh, look at that vibrant green. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of pasta water, and we're gonna add more pesto, another tablespoon. And that starchy water is just gonna help bring the sauce all together. If it was me, I would add more pesto. I'm trying to be like not so crazy. I think that's good though. And then we'll plate it up. Okay, and then me personally, once it's plated, I like to add more pesto on top. I mean, you can't go wrong, right? Okay, now it's time to dig in the best part. So good. That pesto, if the pasta shape is too hard to make, which it was for me, I highly recommend at least making the pesto. So good. Yeah, it's like the perfect amount of parm. And now that the pesto sat, the garlic is a lot more of it, like predominant in it. Yeah, very, very good. It's a tough pasta to make, okay? It is. I could have easily just like went out and bought this style pasta in the store, but I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to give it a try. I feel like I would do it again, just continuing to practice that shape, you know, that's the key. But yeah, that pesto is a winner. All right, I would say overall, not too shabby. Have we had more successful book eats episodes? Totally. But it was fun to try and make this pasta, and the pesto was a hit. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye guys.